Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Barry Landau's Tropical Planet. I'm your host, Barry Landau. We're here today at Rainforest Flora in Torrance, California. We're gonna take a look around and see what's blooming and what's new. But aside from having Paul Isley, the owner, with us, we're going to have Peter Tristram, a visitor from down under, from Australia. Maybe one of the greatest bromeliad collectors ever. All right, come on in, we'll look around. Well, we're here at Rainforest today. We've got a special guest from the great down under, Peter Tristram. How you doing, Peter?
Well, I'm tired, Barry.
You're tired. You got jet lagged, and you've been all over Southern California, and I know you're down in Oceanside.
Yeah, in the 106 to 108 degree heat. Yeah, it was fun.
That's similar to your outback, but okay.
It is, but I don't live in the outback.
That's right. You live coastal, right?
And I don't normally go in and out of greenhouses when it's 108 degrees outside.
And isn't it amazing? It's fun to come visit Paul here at Rainforest. You know, I know you've been collecting almost as long as I have, maybe longer. How long have you been collecting bromeliads?
I think I got my first bromeliads in 1977. Actually, in my where I lived with my parents before then, in Sydney, they had bromeliads in the backyard. So you might say since I was born, I've been admiring the bromeliads.
Fantastic. It's similar to me. I saw my first ones when I was about 8, but I got my first ones when I was 11. That would be 1970. So.
Wow.
But, you know, this place, you've come to the Mecca, well, let's call it one of the best nurseries anywhere. And I know today you've had fun picking up some good plants from Paul. We're going to talk about a few of those. But what do you think about what Paul's done here? I know you've been here in the past, but isn't it amazing how the nursery's filled in?
Well, the first time I visited Paul was in 1988, and he was at his old, his other establishment. He's now moved, he had to move out of there in a big hurry, and he came over here under the power lines. And, this is my first time I've seen this place. And, he's done a really good job. He has a huge inventory of tillandsias, and 99% of them he's grown from seed himself, or propagated from stock from a long time ago. But the seed-grown stuff just blows me away. And the hybrids, they're mind-blowing too. So the inventory is a bit there for everybody. If you want collector stuff, it's plenty there. If you want commercial stuff, wholesale stuff, plenty there. Perfect for me.
Excellent. And, the other thing is that Paul has always supported the local societies, and I know you support not only your local societies, but that you're one of the board members of the BSI. That's the Bromeliad Society International. This is an important thing for you and me. We're trying to get new people to get interested in these plants, and I know you spend a lot of time, a lot of dedication trying to introduce the plants to people. What are your clubs like down in Australia?
Well, the Australian clubs fluctuate, of course. Younger people, well, I was very young when I first joined. I was in my early 20s when I first joined a club when I was living in Sydney. But now that I live a long way from Sydney, halfway between Sydney and Brisbane, it's not so easy. There's no club where I live. So most of my clubs are online now, which is great, such as the Planets. But
exactly, this is one of the great things. You and I essentially met over Planet Bromeliad and Planet Tillandsia. Those are my groups on Facebook.
Yeah, that's right.
And it really has made sense in a nice way because, as you say, a lot of collectors now live great distances from each other, and it's a way for us to relate. I know
internationally, Barry.
Yes.
Internationally, it's wonderful.
That's the fun part, is we operate in real time, and we can talk to the Germans or the Indonesians or the Irish or the Indians.
Thais and the Taiwanese and basically anybody who I can translate with Google Translate, I'll talk to.
Well, that's great, Peter. I want to thank you for talking to us today. And then we're going to talk with Paul, and then we're going to look around the nursery.
Thanks very much, Barry.
Right. Well, hi. We're here with Paul Isley and Peter Tristram. We're standing in Paul's nursery, Rainforest Flora. As you know, Peter is from down under, and he's here getting some special stuff today. What is that Variesia, that beautiful Variesia you've got?
Well, I just sort of happened to stumble on this one for sale here, and I thought, well, I might buy that one. Looks a bit like maybe a David Shiggy one. We're not 100% certain, but I think it'll end up back in Australia, Barry.
And Paul, how long would that be approximately grown here at the nursery?
Oh, probably a year or so.
Yeah. Maybe got them as seedlings.
Now, if we got it as a seedling, it would probably be 4 or 5 years old. But it's probably an offset because we haven't gotten anything from David for a number of years. And so pretty much everything we have now are offsets of offsets of offsets, you know, so a year.
Yeah, I see Peter's picked out some interesting tillandsias, but some of your rare stuff. What are you holding there?
3 tillandsias. Life's tough,
What they
I know.
look like.
Yeah. All right, this is a fun time. It's great having Peter here, I got to say. I mean, we haven't seen each other in a while, especially here at the nursery. And, you know, I don't know anybody that has traveled the world as much or knows as much about as many different bromeliads and as many genera as you do. I mean, it's astounding. It really is.
And when I just posted
I'm only one of many, Paul.
When I just posted his photo on one of the planets, I said, the great bromeliad collector from down under, because he really is one of the greatest collectors ever.
And now he's on top, so there you go.
Not down under anymore.
What is this interesting hybrid you've got there?
Okay, I've got 3 different tillies here. This is a hybrid of Streptophila and Capitata. And Peter has a very keen eye because, you know, you could have 50 plants, and out of those 50 plants, one of them will be more beautiful than the rest.
That's right.
So, you know, if you're shopping at a place that has a lot of different plants and a lot of plants within those different plants, keep your eye out for ones that you think are better. And sometimes the owner's not going to let them go.
That's true. And every now and then the owner weakens.
And he weakens. And Peter's really good at tweaking that weak.
I just keep working on them.
He just keeps working.
Peter, what are your considerations when you look for something like this? Was it a better colored leaf?
Well, I basically, thanks, Barry. It's getting heavy. Whoops. Yeah, this one I was taken by the recurving leaves and the bulbous base. So, you know, I mean, there are lots of bulbous ones, and I just try to pick out different looking bulbous ones. I mean, this one is just magic to me, and I thought, well, yeah, I'll ask Paul. You never know. He might let me have it.
He may have just talked himself out of it, you know, because it really is. The way the leaves recurve is pretty amazing. You know, and if we had a bunch of them, then that's fine. But of course we don't. So
I have to get a puck from them. What else you have there, Paul?
This is a really cool plant. This is called Joel superior. Joel is a hybrid of bulbosa and ionantha.
Someone answer that
But this
phone.
is a special clone. And these plants can grow to be a couple of feet tall, like 60 centimeters. And they don't bloom. I've never seen one bloom, but they just grow and they offset. They have this fabulous color, and they have very thick leaves, and it's just a really, really cool plant.
Well, this is one of your own hybrids, right?
Well, it's Joel superior. Joel is our hybrid, and I'm not sure where superior came from. I don't know if that was us or it fell off a turnip truck. I don't know.
It's just one of the many seedlings. Anything can happen.
You do this, you do this for enough years, and you can't remember where everything comes from. It just, it's there. It's just there.
You end up.
And then the last guy, this is Tillandsia ionantha, a monstrose form, which means that there really is no center on this.
I got one of those from you.
Yeah.
Yep. And there's.
It's pretty rare. And
there are the mini forms too that are only this big.
The little enanos, yeah, very cool. And
they're nice.
So these are 3 of the plants that Peter's got picked out.
And Peter, you'll take these back, and hopefully they'll survive the various agricultural.
Yeah, they'll go through the rigors of the quarantine system and
go Aussies.
Yes. Sometime after Christmas, and probably in mid-January. With a bit of luck, I'll get my hands on them, but, you know, let's hope they survive. And they should, because one thing about buying plants from California, I find, for taking back to Australia is they're tough, they're hard, and they usually go through the quarantine process really, really well.
And that's plants that are grown in California as opposed to either being in a different climate somewhere else, which doesn't mean the plants aren't nice. Or, you know, a lot of times if they're imported, you know, and they're either freshly collected or they're offsets of collected and they go through the trials and tribulations, they're pretty weak.
Yeah, these are acclimatized very, very well, and you know, they're the strong ones. So
the tillandsias can take 6 to 25 years to grow from seeds. It can take a long time.
Absolutely.
So in that process, they really do adapt and they get strong. So.
And I know Peter shoots some great photos. Paul is maybe the greatest master of tillandsia photography. But Peter also shoots great photos, and your neighbors and some of the local club members will benefit from your collection by being able to see these and touch them and see them at local meetings.
Absolutely.
And through your photographs.
I don't hide my collection. I mean, anyone who comes to my place can have a look.
Doesn't mean they can buy everything.
Absolutely not. It takes years to get propagations.
Yeah. And it takes years to get to know Peter so that he'll weaken and let root grow.
Well, this is just
Yeah,
great.
and some of them I use for seed too. I'm raising seed myself, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's just great to have you here in LA, and I know that you and I are moving on in a week or two to Florida to the conference. I know Paul had some previous things that he had to stay here for.
We got Halloween coming up, and that's our
Yeah.
busiest time of year.
It's your
So
best season.
yeah.
So, well, I just want to thank you guys so much, and you know, we're going to have you in future shows. You're appearing on Barry Landau's Tropical Planet, but you know, eventually I'm going to come visit you, Peter, and we'll do a show.
You're welcome.
For the great Down
Down under, yeah, there's quite a few of us over there. You'd be worth a visit. They're on the planets. Jack, Nigel, George, you, Olive, you name them. They're all there.
Right, Jack Coney with the great Freesia hybridizer. We left him out. Okay, it's okay.
All right, everybody. Toodles.
Bye.
See you next time.
See ya.
Thanks, guys. Well, I want to thank you folks for stopping by my new tropical planet. And come on by, fly over some other time in the future. We're going to be going to all kinds of botanical gardens, private collections, and nurseries, and state parks. Anywhere we can find plants and animals that we want to love and learn to respect more. So stop by when you can. And remember, you can find me and find this planet by going to www.plantmansplanets.com.